Good morning, my dear students. I welcome you to this session. In this module, we shall be learning the very important points as I mentioned to you in the previous revision session. That is, we will be learning the important points of lesson 10, transportation in animals and plants. So, I have in detail explained you about this topic. We shall learn the important points which is very much necessary for your examination. Lesson 10, transportation in animals and plants. The first point is, blood is the fluid which flows in blood vessels. Blood is the fluid that flows in the blood vessels. Blood transports digested food, oxygen from lungs and small intestine to all parts of the body. Blood transports, it transports or it carries digested food, oxygen, that is O2, from lungs and small intestine to all the parts of the body. The third point is, blood contains fluid called plasma. It contains a fluid called as plasma. Here I shall underline these points. Okay. Blood contains fluid called plasma, and this plasma contains RBC, WBC and platelets. Blood contains fluid called plasma which contains RBC, that is red blood cells, WBC, that is white blood cells and platelets. Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin makes the blood red. That is, hemoglobin is a pigment that turns the blood, that gives red color to the blood. WBC, that is white blood cell. WBC, that is a white blood cell. It fights against the germs. I am underlining the points. You too have to do it because it will be easy for you to revise. So, WBC fights against the germs. Next is, platelets help in clotting the blood. Now, what is clotting the blood? As I explained you, the blood starts hardening. It doesn't keep on flowing. It starts to turn hard. So, platelets help in clotting of the blood. Platelets help in clotting of the blood. Arteries and veins. Arteries and veins are the two types of blood vessels. I mentioned you here that blood is the fluid which flows in the blood vessels. That means arteries and veins. That is, blood is a fluid which flows in arteries and veins. Is that clear? Arteries and veins are the two types of blood vessels. They are called as blood vessels. Arteries are divided into extremely thin tubes called capillaries. So, arteries are divided into extremely thin tubes called as capillaries. I have explained you this in the class. Arteries are divided into extremely thin tubes called as capillaries. Capillaries. Arteries carries oxygen-rich blood. Now, what is oxygen-rich blood called as? Oxygenated blood. The blood that is very much rich in oxygen is called as oxygenated blood. Veins carry carbon dioxide rich blood, that is called as deoxygenated blood. Now, what carries oxygenated blood? Arteries. Arteries is a blood vessel. So, arteries carries oxygen-rich blood called as oxygenated blood, whereas vein carry carbon dioxide-rich blood, that is called as deoxygenated blood. The next point is, 10th point is, how does the circulation take place? What is the flow chart of circulation? That is, as I told you, we intake oxygen, and where does it enter? The oxygen enters through the lungs, and the circulation begins from the lungs. So, let's go with the arrow mark, and that is called as the flow chart. That is called as the flow chart of circulatory system. So, the whole topic is about circulatory system. So, we will have to know the flow chart of circulatory system. So, where does it begin from? It begins from lungs, and from the lungs it goes through the pulmonary vein, artery, capillaries, veins, pulmonary artery, and then back again to the lungs. So, here it begins with the oxygen taking in, and here it ends with the carbon dioxide giving out. Is that clear? Next is, 11th point is, arteries has thick elastic walls as the blood flow in rapid at a high pressure. So these arteries has thick walls because the blood flows in a very high pressure. So when it flows in a very high pressure, it needs some protection, isn't it? If the walls will be thin, the tubes arteries starts breaking up. So this is what it says. Arteries has thick elastic walls as the blood flow in rapid at a high pressure. So arteries has thick elastic walls. Next is pulse. You have heard the pulse as I told you in the video. Pulse. You get the pulse here in the wrist, isn't it? So pulse is throbbing. Now what is throbbing? I told you throbbing is beating with strong rhythm. Rhythm, you know, right? You listen the music with the rhythm. The same way the pulse throbbing takes place with the rhythm. So throbbing is called as beating with the strong rhythm. So pulse is throbbing, that is beating with strong rhythm due to the blood flowing in the artery. So pulse is the throbbing due to the blood flowing in the arteries. Pulse is throbbing, that is beating with strong rhythm due to the blood flowing in the arteries. So in arteries, oxygenated blood flows, isn't it? 13 point. The number of pulse beat per minute is called as pulse rate. Now what is pulse rate? The number of pulse beat per minute is called as pulse rate. The number of pulse beat per minute is called as pulse rate. So how do we calculate the pulse rate? If you hold the fingers over the pulse and for 1 minute you will have to keep an ear, right? You have to hear it, and that number of pulse beat in a minute is called as pulse rate. Pulse rate of a resting person. For example, if we are in a resting position, then the pulse rate of a resting person is between 72 to 80 beats per minute. So in a normal resting person, the beats will be 72 to 80 beats. That is, pulse beat will be 72 to 80 beats per minute. 15th point. The place where you can feel the pulse. Where do you feel the pulse? As I showed you, one is here, one is between the, that is inside the elbows here, and the next one is on the temple. I showed you, right near to the eyes. So the place where you can feel the pulse is, wrist, inside the elbow and on temple. So here pulse rate of a resting person will be 72 to 80 beats per minute. The next points will be about the heart. We have learned what is heart, functioning of heart. So the next important points will be about the heart. We shall learn few points about the heart, my dear students. Heart. Heart is a pumping organ which beats continuously for the transport of blood. As the lesson topic itself says, transport. So, heart is a pumping organ, of course. Since your birth, in your mom's womb, the heart starts beating, isn't it? The wonderful moment. So, heart is a pumping organ. You know what is pumping, right? So, heart is a pumping organ which beats continuously. It is non-stop. It only stops when someone dies. The heart dies when someone dies. That means when heart dies, of course we die. So, heart is a pumping organ which beats continuously for the transport of blood. The blood has to be transported to each and every part of your body. So, heart is a pumping organ which helps in transport of blood, which beats continuously. Next, 17th point is heart is, so let me underline this, heart is a pumping organ, beats continuously. For what? The main topic is transport of blood. Heart is located in the chest cavity and is slightly tilted. Now, as you know, chest cavity is rib cage and the diaphragm below as a sheet. So, that is a cavity, it's a bag-like structure. So, heart is located, where is it located? It is located inside the chest cavity and is slightly tilted to the left side. Heart doesn't stand straight, it is slightly tilted. So heart is located in the chest cavity and is slightly tilted to the left. 18th point is heart is roughly the size of your fist. My heart is roughly the size of my fist, isn't it? So heart is roughly size of our fist. Next, heart has 4 chambers. There are 4 chambers, that is 2 upper chambers and 2 lower chambers. So which are the 2 upper chambers? They are atria. They are called as atria, and single atria is called as atrium. 2 lower chambers, that is ventricles. So there are 4 chambers, that is 2 plus 2. 2 upper chamber called as atria and 2 lower chambers called as ventricles. 20th point, the walls of the chambers of the heart are made up of muscles. So that is because it needs strength to contract and relax. For that the heart needs a strong muscle. So the walls of the chambers of the heart are made up of muscles. 21 point, first point, that is heartbeat is the rhythmic contraction followed by the relaxation of heart. Before that we shall underline the few points here. Heart is located in the chest cavity. Heart is roughly size of our fist. Next, heart has 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricles. Next is the walls of the chambers of the heart is made up of muscles. Next point is heartbeat. What is heartbeat? Of course, you will hear the heartbeat if you keep your hand over your left side chest. So heartbeat is the rhythm, as I told you in the pulse rate also, it is a sound of a rhythm, isn't it? So heartbeat is also the same thing. Heartbeat is a rhythmic contraction and relaxation. Contraction followed by the relaxation of heart. What happens to the heart when it pumps? So heart contracts and it relaxes, isn't it? So when it contracts, it pumps out the blood, and when it relaxes, the blood comes in. So heartbeat is a rhythmic contraction followed by the relaxation of the heart. So heartbeat is a contraction and relaxation of heart. Next is heart has 4 walls. Walls, not wall, it is wall. Wall. Heart has 4 walls. These are one-way wall. This covers the chambers. You know, right? It covers the atrium. One chamber is covered by one wall. The second ventricle is covered by one wall. The next ventricle is covered by one more wall, and the 4th chamber is covered by one more wall. So heart has 4 walls, but it is just one way. You have heard about the one-way road, right? In one-way road, only one side vehicles can go. The other side you can't move. The same way, these walls are like that. Heart has 4 walls. These are one-way walls. So heart has 4 walls. Stethoscope. Where do you see the stethoscope? Stethoscope you can see over the shoulder of the doctor. Why do they use it? To check the heartbeat. So stethoscope is an instrument. So stethoscope is an instrument used to amplify, increase the volume of the heartbeat. Can you directly hear the heartbeat? No. But when you keep the stethoscope over your chest, you can amplify. You can hear it louder. What do you mean by amplifier? Hearing it louder. Stethoscope is an instrument used to amplify the heartbeat. The last point is, who discovered the circulation of blood? Yes, for everything there is a father. So invention, that is there has to be someone to invent something. So who invented the circulatory system or circulation of blood? William Harvey. William Harvey is a scientist who discovered the circulation of blood. William Harvey discovered the circulation of blood. Okay, my dear students, here I have ended up all the important points. All you have to do is write it down in your sheet, or you may also write it in your science note. Keep revising this. You will get questions, flipped questions from these important points, and it would be helpful to you during your examination. So keep revising and all the best.